just want to have fun. Welcome back to another episode of the DCL Duo podcast. I am here brought to you by My Path Unwinding Travel and also by the good folks at the WDW and DCL magazines. If you have not gotten your float edition of the DCL magazine, then make sure to head to dcl-magazine.com. And if you're ordering there, don't forget to put in code DCL Duo for 10% off anything in their store. As you can tell by the fact that I'm solo and singing Girls Just Want to Have Fun, this is a special girls only episode. So Brian is here. He's producing in the background, but I am solo hosting and I am excited because I've got two lovely ladies joining me for tonight's episode. So I'm going to welcome to the show Kelly and Charity to the live stream. Brian, put them on. There we are. All right.
Hi, Sam.
Hey, you guys. Good to see you. Thanks for joining me tonight. We've got to talk some DCL news. There were a couple of just, minor news items that came out this week. But before we dive into the news, I've got to introduce you guys. Kelly, you have been on our show several times before. Charity is new to our show, but why don't you tell our audience who you guys are, what your DCL background is? Give us all the details.
You want to go first?
Sure. So I'm Kelly. My first Disney cruise, as some of you have heard before, was on the Big Red Boat a long time ago. I'm dating myself. I just did my 19th Disney cruise with Charity earlier this month. I have 5 kids. Sorry, my family of 5. I have 3 kids, and this was my first real Disney cruise without my family. It was really fun.
Yeah. So I'm Charity. I have a family of 5 as well. My husband and 3 kids are who I typically travel with. And my first Disney cruise was in 2018 after the encouragement of Kelly. So we were Disney lovers, and my family all has food allergies, and we loved Walt Disney World. And that was the big draw there, is how well they took care of our family. And Kelly is my allergist and friend, and she encouraged me just how well they take care of our family on Disney Cruise Line. And we took the plunge in 2018 on a 7-night cruise over spring break, went back the following year over spring break, and then a little thing in 2020 happened and put a little hiatus on our love for cruising. But then since then, we had 7 more cruises. So I'm just one shy of platinum now.
Ooh, very nice.
I'm getting there. So probably I've been on most of the ships now. Our favorite was a back-to-back in the Mediterranean last summer. We had the chance, a little sabbatical we had last summer. So that was probably our best cruise. But I'm making my way around to get to all the itineraries, and so it's now, I think, our family's biggest passion. But Kelly and I took our girls' trip this last Labor Day weekend. So
love that for you guys. Well, before we dive into talking about your amazing 3-night girls' trip on the Disney Wish, we've got to talk Disney news. I mentioned there's 2 pieces of news. I said they're small. One of them's really big. One of them's really small.
Huge.
So we're huge. We're gonna start with. Actually, let's start with the small one. We're going to go backwards. So the small one was today, which is we've seen new Castaway Club gifts for the Disney Destiny for its inaugural season. There are, there's a new tote bag. There's a new wet dry bag. There's packing cubes. There's a wallet and passport folio. And they are red and yellow. So they are Gryffindor themed or Iron Man themed, depending upon if you are a Potterhead or a Marvel, I guess, supporter. But tell us, you guys, what do you think about the new Castaway Club gifts? Charity, let's start with you.
Yeah, I'm loving the new Castaway gifts. Yeah, and I can't wait till I get more of them. So after my next one, I'm working towards it.
I really love the color scheme because it's so different. So many of the things look very similar. So I'm looking forward to getting something different.
Yeah.
Do you like them?
I love them, but I love a different color scheme. I mean, I love blue, but like how many different shades of blue can DCL give us, right? They gave us for many, many years, the sling bag was that like navy blue. And then they switched to the white tote bags that have that kind of sky blue bottom to them and lots of stuff that's that that sky blue, that wet dry bag is that sky blue. So I'm just happy to have something different. And like I said, as soon as I saw them, all I thought was Gryffindor. And as a Gryffindor myself,
Yeah.
I I was happy about them. I figured Brian would be happy about them because he loves red and gold and he loves Iron Man. So I don't know. I guess I'm happy about them. I think people, and I can tell from the chat, the comments from the folks watching us live on YouTube, there is a this divisive about this color scheme because it's not very
It went
DCL.
way different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Disney
yeah,
fans
I
don't like
agree.
change, and
No.
it is really different.
Yes, yes. I do think the ship logo that they're using is very, very similar to what was on the Treasure Inaugural Sailings logo. So, which makes sense. They're sister ships. As obviously, I'm wearing a Wish shirt. They're all sister ships, so the logo shouldn't really be that different. Meaning, when I say logo, I mean the sort of the ship logo. But it does look very similar. A couple of people have been asking about the lanyards. I've never seen DCL release what the lanyards are going to look like before the maiden voyage. So for the Wish and for the Treasure, they didn't release what those lanyards would look like, but there were lanyards. So trust me, people, there will be lanyards. All right. Well, the big news of the week is, of course, what happened on Friday. I think it was Friday evening. It was announced, it came out from news sources left and right, and the adventure is delayed by 3 whole months from December 15th to now March 10th. So about 3 months, which I don't know if people were really surprised by this based on like the rumor mill. We were hearing there were lots of delays and that the ship was behind schedule. But I think the amount of the delay is a little bit surprising. Kelly, what was your reaction to this?
Yeah, I was surprised that the delay was so long, but my first reaction was I wish I had booked one so that I could get the 50% discount. I feel like I should always book inaugural seasons, like early inaugural season sailings, and maybe they'll get canceled and I'll get a 50% off a
Back to
future
back,
cruise.
right?
But I'm
Yeah,
sure it's
yeah,
disappointing
absolutely.
to people, especially people sailing from North America who probably have flights booked and all of that.
Yes.
So I'm sure it's a bummer, but I think it eases your pain a bit with the 50% off
Yes,
discount.
absolutely. Yeah. Charity, were you surprised by the delay or by the length of the delay?
Yeah, I wasn't surprised by the delay, but the length of the delay, and I was
Yeah.
really sad thinking about all the people that would be traveling internationally to get there because that's probably the bulk of the clients going
Yes.
are affected by that. Yeah, so
Yeah.
pretty sad for everyone involved. I was glad they did right by the 50% off. You know, we're both travel agents and I had people affected
Yeah.
and thinking they had to wait till October 8th and Disney Cruise Line actually was they were very accommodating this week, actually helping with that discount and speed that up for clients and such. So they did a really nice job taking care of
Yeah.
clients. But I was surprised by the length and thinking of how many people were affected,
Oh,
how
yeah.
large the
Yeah.
ship is and how many people were affected. So yeah.
Absolutely, and it looks like those bookings in March for after they're sailing and even to April and probably May are really booking up quickly now because people are
Oh
shifting
yeah.
their cruises from
Yeah.
those earlier dates to later. One thing I would say is this is a really good plug for trip insurance and not just your basic policy, and we don't advertise for trip insurance. There's obviously issues for, plugging for insurance and all of that, and it's different state to state. It's certainly different country to country. But I just want to stress to people having trip insurance that doesn't just cover the cruise, but all of the other stuff is really important. And having one that like kicks in even if your cruise is canceled, right? So like I'm seeing in a lot of Facebook groups people being upset because their airline won't accommodate a change or something like that because they're like, well, you can still go to Singapore, but they're like, the whole reason I'm going to Singapore is to get on this ship. So I think it's very important for people to, pay attention to whatever trip insurance policy you're looking at or you're thinking about buying to see what is actually covered. And DCL's insurance, while it's great for coverage of the cruise, it does not cover the hotel, the airfare, the transportation, and all the stuff sort of that you are booking outside of Disney. So really important, for people to know about that. So there's people in the chat saying they're not super surprised and seems seems like there were a lot of updates for a while with the concept art and then kind of nothing. So it was kind of quiet. Um, I'm not sure. Brian was texting me and saying there's more in the chat, but that DCL is saying I don't. Sorry, Brian, I'm not seeing these other things in the chat um, for what DCL is doing for folks. But it sounds like there are people being accommodated at least by that 50% being applied more quickly. So anyway, there are those booked on the Maiden get automatically rebooked on the Maiden for those who are out there and were booked on the Maiden. So you don't have to do anything if you're on the Maiden. You'll automatically be rebooked and you'll get 50% off of that cruise. But if you want to switch it to a different cruise, whether you're booked on the Maiden or any of the sailings that were affected, you will get your deposit refunded and you'll get a 50% off future cruise credit. But you need to let DCL know which cruise you want them to apply that to. It's got to be a new booking, I believe. I don't believe you can apply that 50% to something you've already got booked. And if you have a back-to-back booked, obviously you are getting two different future cruise credits. And so you can apply them to new back-to-back sailings, or you can apply them to two separate cruises. But there is a time frame or a time limit by when you have to sail on that on those 50% off future cruise credits. I think it's the end of March 2027. So make sure that if you have one of those future cruise credits, that you rebook in a sailing that qualifies if you want obviously to take advantage of that 50% off. There are some blackout dates. So you have to look online for what those blackout dates are. And you've also got to get booked before the end of this March. So like I said, sail by end of March 2027. So there's fine print details. If you've got a TA, I'm sure they've got that covered. But if you don't have a TA and you've done this on your own, or you're working with, I don't know, somebody like Costco who really doesn't keep you informed of your stuff, and you have to really keep track of that stuff, then make sure to pay attention to the fine print. So reach out to DCL with questions, of course. They're the ones who are the authority on what they will cover and what they will not cover. All right. I have finished my spiel. We have finished the news. Let's dive into talking about the Disney Wish and this fabulous cruise you guys took. Let's start with, why did you book this cruise and how did you get your families? You each come from families of five. You have your husbands and three kids. How did you convince them to let you go on a cruise without them?
We didn't really convince them. We kind of told them, and some of
I
our
love
kids did protest. I
Yeah,
don't think our husbands minded, but some of the kids were not
the
happy
kids
with
did.
us.
Yeah.
there were some tears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. But we kind of took a girls trip before, but it was more of a working girls trip when we did the treasure preview cruise, and we thought it was really fun. And all of our kids are getting bigger; some of them are in college, so we finally thought like we could do this now, and we just really wanted to. So
Yeah, we took the advantage of the Labor Day weekend, being longer, not having to take
Mhm.
as much time from our day
yeah,
jobs, and, there were some good deals on Disney Cruise Line as well, where
yeah,
they were applying, if you had a placeholder, it would be 30% off instead of the 10% off as well, and so
Oh,
that kinda helped make that
yeah.
decision, so
We got
keep
a
an
good
eye
deal.
out for good deals like that, so we got
Yeah,
a good deal. Um,
and we
I'm
picked a
loving the
shorter.
deals that I'm seeing lately. I feel like, I mean,
there were
now,
there
like
were
I
some
mentioned,
great
we just
ones.
talked about the 50% off on the adventure if you had it booked, but there are other, deals that they've had more recently that have just not been, not
Yeah, like
like
50%
historically
off
been.
the third and fourth guest. That's a great deal on select
Yeah.
sailings.
Yeah, and I
Yes.
think sometimes they're going not unnoticed, but just not very well advertised,
Yeah,
you know? Yeah, because I don't know that people would have necessarily noticed that being thrown
Mhm.
around, but we had been watching, and we did
yeah,
take the shorter cruise to take less time away from our family and such, or probably we would have
yeah,
taken a longer
yeah.
one.
I'm all for longer cruises, but we are trying to minimize
Absolutely.
the time away
And
from work and our
and
kids.
where were you guys traveling from? I'm forgetting. I know you're East Coast based, Kelly, but I forget where you guys are.
Yeah, we live in the Norfolk, Virginia Beach area.
Okay. So you don't have
Yeah.
too far to travel, but still a flight. You're not probably driving down, to
We
Orlando.
could, but it's a little painful, so flights are much easier. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
our family, sometimes when we've driven down on holidays or flights are really expensive or unpredictable, sometimes there's really bad layovers and such. We've driven for quite a few of our cruises, but especially if it's just one or we can get good flights, you can get a good direct flight, sometimes 2 hours for inexpensive. But like Kelly and I experienced, we
Yeah.
thought we had a good quick direct flight and things did go a little bit awry. So
Yeah.
we were glad we went in the day prior rather than the morning of. So that
Well
was just a
done,
good
ladies. Well
reminder that if
done.
you're flying,
Absolutely.
do not fly the day of.
A big pro tip, like we always tell our clients, like never fly in the day of your cruise. If you have a delay, at best you're going to start your vacation off really stressed out, and at worst you could miss it. Our flight was supposed to be an hour and 45 minutes, but we ended up spending 6 hours on the plane. There was a bad storm and we were circling, and then we ran out of fuel, so we had to divert to another airport and refuel and then wait
Oh
till
my
we were like cleared
god.
to take off again.
Yeah.
So that would have been a very stressful time if we were about to board the ship that day.
Yeah.
Yes,
So even without
I
a
mean,
connection.
yeah, even with a direct flight. Oh my god, I mean, that's a stressful flight even the day before. But yeah, for anyone out there listening, like please, please do not book a flight
Yeah.
the same day as your cruise. I mean, if you're like a driving distance to your cruise destination, okay, you can drive the day of. But even that I think is a little bit scary unless you live in Florida. If you like live in Florida, like okay, you can drive.
Because we
But
we took off on time, so we thought everything was going really well. So
yeah.
you know, then we were just stuck in the air. We wouldn't have been able to drive or
And
do
then
anything about it.
it was getting later into the night. And then when we had to divert, we were wondering where we were diverting to. Luckily, it was Tampa. So then we
Ugh,
thought, well, even if we get stuck in Tampa, we could drive and still
Get a
make it.
car.
But at least
Yeah.
we weren't
yes.
heading back north or something. So,
Yes, yes, because at least you could rent a car or get or rent or hire a car service to drive you the
yeah.
couple of hours from Tampa down to, Port Canaveral. Alright, well, let's dive into talking about, your cruise once you land. You land at MCO eventually, obviously, and you guys in this PowerPoint clear which I love, thank you, by the way, for doing the PowerPoint for shout out to, I'm gonna give the shout out to Ashley, who started the trend with PowerPoints on
Yeah,
our
it
live
looks great.
show.
Yeah.
And it's super helpful. It helps the guests, it helps the audience. It's we don't make people do this, but I love it when people want to do it because I think it helps us kind of, give you the visuals. But the Hyatt MCO, I highly recommend. What do you guys have you guys stayed there before? And would you recommend it to your clients, your friends, to our listeners? I think it's a great option.
I had not stayed there before. Kelly recommended it for this trip, and it was a huge win. We were to get in around 7:30, 8 o'clock, and we did not get in till much later, 11 or
Yeah.
later. So, especially in this circumstance, it was a big win. So I was very glad
Yeah.
that is where she recommended. So we just walked, right out from security straight. That's a picture of the lobby of the hotel, right outside of security. It was very late, but the restaurant in the hotel was still open. It was a wonderful option for a late dinner.
Mhm.
Just went straight to our room, which was right down the hall. Um, Wonderful. We took Disney Cruise Line transportation the next morning. So we tagged our bags with the tags that they had provided, left them in our room. It was picked up there, saw our bags in the stateroom, like Disney transportation does for you,
So nice.
which is fantastic. But the other benefit and what we wanted to check out for our clients and which you had not experienced yet
Yeah.
and what you wanted to test and see is the fact that you can check in for your cruise at the Hyatt MCO Orlando Airport. And that is something that neither of us had experienced because when you do that, even at the Walt Disney World resorts, you can do the Disney Cruise Line transportation and they'll pick up your bags for you, but you're still checking in at the port. And so
Mhm.
what's different about the Hyatt MCO is that you actually check in there for your cruise. They
Yep.
check your passport and everything. And then you can see up in the picture there, it gives you a time to come back to meet your motor coach. So our check in time for the transportation, I believe was 9 o'clock. So we left our bags in our room at 8. We went to the pool. We did our health questionnaire. We went and got coffee, picked up a few last minute things at the shops in the airport. And then we went and did our check in. And then that little chart tells you what time to come back and meet your motor coach. So we went back and met the motor coach, got on, and got to the
That's
port.
awesome. I
Yeah,
gotta tell
you're
you.
status. So since I'm platinum, we were the first bus to leave. New
Mhm.
cruisers will leave a little bit later, but it seems like they had a lot of buses
Oh,
just
yeah.
rolling. So I don't think people got there that late. And then when we arrived
Yeah.
at the port, we just went through security, and then we were all checked in and just waited for our boarding group. So it was
Yeah.
really smooth. I had never done that before, but I would highly recommend it. It was really nice.
Yeah, and we have done this before, but it was years and years ago, and they weren't doing it like this. It was more, like what you experience if you're staying at one of the Disney resort hotels, where they do take your bags and then you just board the bus, but it was more of a everyone shows up at once, and it's kind of first come, first serve how you get loaded onto the buses, and they weren't doing the check-in at the MCO. So, this is something we've been hearing this, I wanna say maybe for the last year or so, but with this new process, and I think it's a great option. It's a great option whether you're an experienced cruiser or a first-time cruiser because it does still tend to get you an earlier port arrival time and often get you on the ship earlier. Plus, it's just, like, no hassle, right? Like, you're just not having to deal
Yeah.
with any of the check-in stuff at the port, and then you just go through security when you arrive at the port like you would otherwise do, and you've only got like your backpack or whatever your day bag is. So it's a great option. And also great option if you arrive, your flight is delayed because then you just go right to bed. You don't have to get an
Yeah,
Uber
I
or
was so glad we
car.
didn't have to Uber somewhere, drive all the way to Disney World. It was so
Yeah.
nice to just go up the elevator and we were there. And there's
Yeah,
a really nice
absolutely.
pool on the roof. That's why I included the picture. Um, we didn't have kids with us this time, but last time my kids really liked it. You can watch the planes take off from the roof. So it's a nice place to hang out. And you can get day passes there as well. So sometimes when we fly home, we have a long wait for our flight because we're flying to a small airport, and you can get a day pass and then you have a room and access to the pool. So that's a nice option too if you have a gap between the cruise and your flight home.
Absolutely. All right, let's move to the next slide and talk embarkation day. So you guys arrive obviously at the port. Tell me how check-in. Well, you've already done, I guess at the O or at the Hyatt. But how does the security process? Is it smooth sailing at Port Canaveral for boarding?
Yeah, it was really easy. If we wanted to try to upgrade or that type of thing, we wouldn't have had to check in. We could have just walked right up to the desk and taken care of that. We were at a different terminal because the Wish is going out of
Mhm.
Terminal 10. So for embarkation, the one thing we thought was that maybe it felt a little more crowded at first, just with
Yeah.
everyone arriving until they did start the boarding. Then the traditional, I think we were at Terminal 10 instead of Terminal 8, I believe.
Yep.
But we got on the ship very soon after
Yeah.
arriving. We went straight to the dining session. We had a couple special requests that we wanted to take care of. So we explored the ship a little bit, went to the dining session, enjoyed the sit down lunch at Arendelle.
Love
Um,
that.
the
Love
one
that.
thing, it's so nice. It's such a nice option that is just relaxing.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's so much I
Now,
think it's so much more relaxing than buffet on embarkation day with everybody's suitcase and no one it's just all discombobulated and hectic, I feel like, on embarkation day at the buffet. So I feel like pool deck or the sit down lunch is a little bit more relaxing and chill.
yes.
And that is
Now,
one thing I think we enjoyed as just being 2 adults too, is we didn't feel
yes.
the need to rush and find all the fun, you know?
Yeah. Well, Kelly, I want to ask when you say you had to deal with some dining stuff, were you going to deal with, talking about food allergies and all that stuff ahead of time? I mean, how did you handle cuz you both come from food allergy backgrounds, right? And that's one thing I know that's important to deal with on day 1, whether that you're going to deal with that your first time at sit down dining or going to speak to the managers ahead of time before you're going to, for example, prima notte that night. Did you take care of those things, that afternoon when you got on board?
So we didn't have any allergies to take care of, but we did have some special dietary requests. And definitely like the servers are fabulous, but we recommend everybody who has food allergies go to that dining session, and then you can really sit down and make sure that everybody knows about all of your allergies, and they can talk to you about special accommodations. They can tell you about things like ordering your meals ahead of time at the buffet or on the private islands. But for prima notte, we wanted to let them know that we are vegetarian. Well, Charity isn't always, but she wanted to be for prima notte. So we wanted them to know so that they could prepare it ahead of time so we wouldn't have any delays when we arrived.
What
So
is
we
the
let them know.
sometimes vegetarian, Charity?
So I'll I'll preface for prima notte. Kelly was requesting her meal be vegetarian because that is how she always eats. I'm a sometime because I don't enjoy seafood or undercooked meat and such. And
Yeah.
those are the delicacies for that experience. And that's why I never chose to do it before. So when we decided to do it and she led on to me that you could make that request, I had never thought about that before. And I thought I would enjoy that experience much better with the vegetarian options available to me.
Yeah.
So yes,
That's a
that's
great
what I chose, and I
idea.
loved it. It was amazing.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I never would have thought of that. I mean, I have been to Prima Notte with my friend Tracy. I know she's not able to watch because she's in Italy right now on an ABD. But
Oh,
shout out to Tracy who does not eat seafood and really
yeah.
doesn't eat fish. And so at least one of the dishes is usually I can't remember what it is, but I can't remember if it's a shellfish or what. Or it's a
It's
tuna
a tuna
actually. It's
or
a seared
I
tuna.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she always tells them at the beginning and they're able to substitute in rather quickly, but I would imagine if you're asking for a vegetarian, which, might be multiple courses, it's probably a good idea to make that request ahead of time, gives them a little bit of notice, a little bit of time to prepare those different dishes, because prima notte is a set menu. Well, speaking of prima notte, how did you enjoy it? I mean, Kelly, you'd done it before. Charity, you had never done it. What did you
Yeah.
guys think of it? We'll start with Charity since it was new to you.
Yeah, I thought it was amazing. It was such a fun experience. It was so enjoyable to do it. It was a relaxing experience. I didn't feel like I was missing out anything on the first night of the ship. I do enjoy all the shows, but I've seen this is it this easy adventure
Yeah.
on the Wish, and but it was such a relaxing experience. I enjoyed the presentation from the sommelier. I'm not
Mhm.
really a red wine drinker, to be honest with you. It's just not something that I always enjoy, but I loved what they had picked out, and it was a fun experience. It was really nice. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I enjoy the storytelling too. Like the sommelier, it's not just a tasting, they tell you a lot of different interesting stories, and I thought that was really fun. Our server there was new. It was his his second
The
cruise,
second
right?
cruise,
His
yeah.
second cruise. His name's Marco from Croatia, and he was wonderful. So we got to talk to him a lot, and I like getting to know the cast members. They give you a little pin, and you can see that in the picture. The pin's different than the previous time I did Prima Notte. It's really pretty
Mhm.
now. And
Yeah.
all the vegetarian food was delicious. And we didn't feel too stuffed. We weren't sure if we would be able to make it to dinner, but since it was only a 3-night cruise, we didn't want to miss our main dining room. So
Of
we went to
course.
dinner and we even ate dessert. So
Listen, I've
we had
I've done it too. I
plenty of
mean,
room.
it's not a full meal so for
No.
those who haven't heard us talk about Prima Notte before, it's at Palo on all of the ships. It's literally means night 1 or the first night in Italian. And so the first night they will offer Prima Notte usually at 2 different times. I think it's 6:45 and I can't remember if it's 8:45 or 9:45, but there's 2 different time slots. And you can book this through the app ahead of time when your onboard booking window opens, depending upon your Castaway Club status. And it costs, it's a fee associated with it. It's a wine and food pairing tasting menu, but it's a 4 or 5 small courses. I can't remember. And it's not a full meal, but it's a little taste, a little bite of each item. It's really delicious, but I think you can still eat dinner. You might
Yeah.
skip an appetizer or something. You might not eat 4 or 5 courses at dinner, but you could still eat dinner. It's not gonna
We
be
might still
too
eat all
much.
the courses. Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
you
you
might
eat
eat
all
all
the
the
Yeah.
courses.
courses, or you could eat all the listen, you're on vacation. What else I mean, the cruises are all about food and wine. So, speaking of that, Did you guys attend the, the sail away party? Like, I feel like the sail away party is typically the thing you do with, your kids. If you're, but if you've been to a sail away party and you're adult only, I don't know, maybe you're sitting in, I don't know, the
Great
bayou having a
question.
cocktail.
Yeah, we were at the Quiet Cove pool enjoying a
Yeah.
cocktail.
And
Yes.
It was beautiful.
and it was amazing because I always feel compelled in some capacity to go to that sail away party, and I do think it's fun, and my kids love it. My kids are older, but there's just something fun and nostalgic about being there, but I did not miss it this time.
And it was a great time to go to the Quiet Cove pool because it wasn't crowded. That
Yes.
pool can be like adult soup sometimes. So
It was
there
amazing,
wasn't
yeah.
there was hardly anyone in the pool with us. It was really nice.
I love that for you guys. I would
We
highly
watched the
recommend
sail away.
embarkation day in the Quiet Cove pool on the Wish class ships. It is, yeah, it's really quiet because you're all the way in the back of the ship and it really empties out for that, because everybody's at the sail away party with their kids.
Yeah.
So absolutely. Well, all right. Well, let's talk day 2, which was your quote unquote sea day, your Nassau day, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I know that because the picture of obviously palo brunch with blanket. So you did back to back palo. I gotta give you credit. That's a lot of
We
Oh,
did.
palo.
And this was
Um,
like the ultimate palo brunch because usually when we travel, we're with our family. And even though our kids are older, we always have like a little sense of urgency to rush to get out to like be with our family. And no one was waiting for us. So I don't think I've ever had more food at Palo than I did that day. We had some of everything.
and we had no plans, so we
Yeah.
just ate and
I
ate
love
and
that.
ate. And then Kelly got a little chilled. And so so this was the best part is we were just enjoying ourselves so much. It's just we were
Mhm.
eating slow and had all the courses. And Marco, our server from the night before, happened to be waiting on some other tables and walking by and saying hello and talking to us. And Kelly just happened to touch her arm at one
Yeah.
point. It just like she was not shivering. She just kind
Yeah.
of touched her arm and he noticed and he came by and he said, Miss Kelly, he remembered her name from
Yeah.
the night before. Miss Kelly, are you cold? And she said, well, I'm a little chilled. And he said, well, would you like a blanket? And she said, well, you have blankets? And he said, well, of course we have blankets.
Yep. And he brought me a blanket, and that's the picture of me with the blanket.
So of course they have blankets. They don't want you
Of
chilled.
course
And
they
so
have
he like
blank.
wrapped her in the blanket. He brought me
Yes.
a blanket.
Yeah, he wrapped us both up in them. He was so nice.
Oh my
And
god,
it's
I love
colors.
that.
So there's a dark color on the outside or a light color,
Yeah, kind of
so it
like
can
how
match your
napkins might
yeah, so it
match
can
what you
match
have
your
Oh
on.
yeah,
the
like
art.
they give you a black napkin or a white napkin depending upon
Yeah.
what you're wearing. So if you're wearing
Yeah.
dark clothes, they give you a black napkin. If you're wearing lighter colored clothes, they give you a white. I
Yeah.
love that, you guys. I've got to mention something in the chat that Ed wrote because, well, two things. One, that Prima Notte was able to accommodate gluten allergies, which is awesome to hear. I
That's
would
awesome.
note if you have an gluten allergy or any other food allergy or any other food accommodation that needs to be made, do as Kelly and Charity do, which is go see that dining team when they have that, hour or two that they are in a particular restaurant taking those dining requests. So make sure you go see them, especially if you're doing prima notte, because they need to really have a little bit of advance notice. It's much harder for them to do that on the fly. And the other thing he mentioned is their last Palo brunch lasted 3 hours, and listen, there is no shame for a 3-hour Palo brunch, especially if you don't have, like, kids in the kids club that are, like,
Yeah.
constantly messaging you, "Come
Right.
take us out," right? Like, you enjoy that 3-hour brunch. I gotta say, with Nathan now in Edge, he doesn't care about hanging out with us anymore. We see him at dinner time when we're on a cruise now. But, like, yeah, we can have a 3-hour brunch and yeah, I'm gonna ask for the blanket just to get cozy, you guys. Just
Just try the little arm
yeah,
rub and see what
the arm
happens.
rub and see if
Yeah, I wasn't
Marco sees
complaining. I
me.
was just rubbing my arms. They notice
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, Vanessa in the chat is also saying Andrew and she always take a 3-hour, Palo brunch. I love that. I would say if the times we've been in the private room, it always takes longer because 'cause you're like a big group if you have the private room. That's always taken 3 hours, but I think most of our brunches have been, like, 2 hours, but I love a p and I see you got all the good dishes, right? I mean, you've got the gorgonzola great pizza there, you've got the chicken parm there, you've got antipasta there. You guys, like, did you just, like, hit every check on the box? Like,
We
what were the
did.
favorites?
Mine is always the chicken parm there, that I'm not vegetarian when it hits the Palo brunch.
I'm not vegetarian at Polo brunch.
We got the Mickey waffle. I had never gotten the
Yeah.
Mickey waffle. We did wanna try that, we didn't take up too much space in the stomach with that, but I
Yeah, it
hadn't
was
tried
good
that
to
before.
try. I always like the eggs Florentine and then the eggplant rollatini.
Yeah, they
Mm.
made that special for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, because they made it vegetarian, yeah,
Mhm.
and we ordered so much
Oh,
that our
yeah, because it
server
comes with
had to, like
prosciutto. Yeah.
Yeah.
right, but they can make it vegetarian, and then we ordered so much, our server had to make a plan with us, like, how to bring everything out, like, to time it.
I love that. I
Like,
love
brought out the whiteboard and the marker.
Yeah, bit
here's
of
the
a
pace.
game plan for brunch.
I gotta tell you, I ordered one time that waffle too, only because it's so beautiful looking, because it's
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
big Mickey head waffle, it's not the little waffles that you get in Cabanas, and I have to tell you, it might have been the worst waffle I've ever had. I think I ate an ear of the I mean, I only ordered it just for the picture,
Yeah.
let's be really honest. But it wasn't a good waffle. I ate like I said, I ate a bite of the ear and then I was like, "Nope, this is not worth it. Let me go back to this delicious pizza bread,
Yeah,
in the
everything else
basket."
yeah,
is so amazing.
yeah. I didn't think ours was bad, but it wasn't worth the space in your stomach with all the other food that we had available to us. The other
Right.
stuff's for sure.
Absolutely. Well, what'd you guys do the rest of that day? You had this luxurious, sea day to kind of relax and well, sea day, it's Nassau Day, but you obviously weren't getting off the ship if you spent 3 hours in Palo Brunch, or did
We
you?
got off briefly.
Yeah, we did just want to see. I had seen the Newport before, but we thought it was worthwhile just to I mean, maybe it wasn't, but it was just to, get off and see the Newport, and
Hmm.
then I had never walked to the Junkanoo Beach before,
Oh,
and Kelly
nice.
had, so just to kinda see if people ask if there's something walkable distance, so it was more actually just to do a
More
little
for
research. We
research.
were working too while
Yes.
we were
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, yeah.
We stayed at the beach for like 15 minutes and put our feet in.
Yeah.
And then we took a look at the Margaritaville Resort. We like briefly explored there because sometimes people buy a day pass there. So we
Yeah.
took a look at
Yeah, so we looked at a
How
couple
did that
places
look?
within walking distance.
Yeah, Kelly, how did the Margaritaville we haven't been there, but
I think it's
I've
really
been
nice
hearing
for
about
kids.
it.
It has a
Yeah.
private beach, so it's not the Junkanoo Beach is very crowded.
Yeah.
So it has
Mhm.
a private beach with chairs, and then it has a fun pool with like water slides and a lazy river. And there's a couple little restaurants around, so I think it looks fun for kids. Their beach is not huge; it's a pretty small beach. And then right next to that is the Royalton, and you can buy resort passes there
That
too.
looked really
So we
nice.
just walked on a path through there, and that looks really kind of more upscale and like luxurious, but maybe not as much fun for kids and families. It didn't have all the fun water slides and
Mhm.
everything.
Okay. Well, these are good tips for folks who are going to Nassau. I mean, there are many of us who like to not get off the ship, but there are many people who like to get off the ship and want to experience, some culture or a nice beach resort, all of that. What'd you
Yeah.
guys do with the rest of your day after venturing out and walking around Nassau a little bit?
We went to the Quiet Cove pool,
Mhm.
and it was crowded that day. It would be like what you
Yes.
would call adult soup. There were a lot of adults in the pool. And then that night we saw, was that Aladdin or Little Mermaid? Little Mermaid.
That was Little Mermaid that night. We
Yeah.
love
Awesome.
we love the
Yeah, we love the
shows.
shows.
Of
And then
course.
dinner at 1923, and it was pirate night.
Oh, that's right. So
So
we
we
had
had
to do
multiple costume changes because we got dressed up in our flapper outfits for 1923, and then we got changed for pirate night for the fireworks.
Oh my goodness. Now, so you had like your day outfit. Well, you had your Palo outfit, then you had your going out to Nassau outfit, then you had your flapper outfits, and then you had your pirate outfits and then to bed. So you probably had 5 costume changes that day.
Yeah,
we did, and that is when we texted our daughters, who they're 16 and 22, and said, like, "We really could have used you to help us with our wardrobe changes."
yeah,
They
I
didn't
love
appreciate
yeah.
that.
Because they were the two that were mad that they weren't with us.
Yeah,
But now
I
we
can
have an excuse to
understand.
go on another girls' trip with
And
them,
we can
so
take them
With
this time. But
them.
yeah, we needed someone organizing our clothes and helping us with the wardrobe changes, so
Yeah, well, and helping it maybe so that you can, like, double certain things, right? Like, maybe you could maybe the whatever dress you wear for polo could be the dress that you wear with your pirate costume. I don't know, there's gotta be some way, like
right.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
'cause you gotta accessorize differently, but I feel like
Yeah.
there's some packing tips maybe in there. I gotta ask, were a lot of people dressed up for 1923 in their flapper outfits? We've seen a few here and there, but I don't know that it's caught on as much as I think we kind of thought it would initially.
we saw a few people,
Yeah.
but most people weren't.
Yeah,
I think most people were dressed up that night, most people were dressed up like pirates.
Yeah.
But we did see a few.
yeah, I wanna say less, and I thought maybe it was either because it was pirate night or it's just not as popular anymore,
Yeah.
but we wanted the photo op.
Yeah.
Yeah, listen, you
We were
know, you
we
gotta
were there together and
Yeah.
yeah.
so
I think it's a fun idea. I wonder if you had asked for a specific dining rotation and asked to have 1923 on, you know, night 1 or night 3, maybe instead of night 2,
We actually
maybe that
did.
would have
We asked specifically not to have 1923 on Pirate Night, and then that's what we ended up getting. So
Oh,
it
darn,
worked, and we still had
no.
fun. But we tried so we wouldn't have so many costume changes.
That is a
And then
bummer.
after the pirate fireworks, we went to the Rose and we had a really cool drink. It's called Mrs. Tea, and it's served in this clear glass teapot, and it looks like it's steaming because they put some dry ice in there.
Yeah,
But it's a mixture of like herbal teas and the Moet ice, and then they serve it in little teacups. It was really cool. It
it
was a
was
fun
fun.
experience.
Oh, I
Like they
love
make
that.
a big presentation
I
of
think we've
pouring
got a
it.
picture of that on the last slide, but we'll show that when
Oh,
we get
that's
to the
Oh
right.
yeah,
last
that's
slide.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well
we were going to walk down the stairs, and that's just one time when it might be slightly crowded. There's not many times it feels
mhm.
crowded on the ship, but we were about to walk down the stairs, and then we were like, "Oh, maybe we should just go in the rows
After the
instead."
fireworks, yeah.
So
So we
we
went
hit
to
the
the
Oh, yeah.
rows.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think that's a really smart idea. The Rose tends to be, like, undersubscribed. It's such a beautiful bar, but I think people, especially people who haven't been on the ships before, I don't think they even know it exists unless they happen to be going to Remy or Apollo, and then
It
they
was such a
stumble
quiet spot.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah,
out of the way. If you're not like looking for it, I don't think yeah, you don't just stumble across it
Yeah.
spontaneously.
And that was a
exactly.
fun drink to get, and it
Yeah.
was totally shareable too, the way it came with the little cups, it was fun.
Yeah. It's
Oh, I
cool.
love that. All right, well, your next day was Castaway Day. Obviously, you guys got off. I see some Castaway Key 5K medals there in the picture. Is that what you did first, or what was your sort of plan
No,
of
we did that
attack for
later.
Castaway?
First we just walked around the island and then we took the tram to Serenity Bay because normally we were with our kids, so I've never really spent any significant time there. I believe you did with your adult daughter.
Yeah.
So I was really excited to spend the day at Serenity Bay. Although I've been to Castaway a ton of times, I've never really spent a lot of time there.
Yeah. What did you think of it, Kelly? I mean, it is very different. I always warn people that the beach is very steep and it's also very kind of narrow because of the erosion that's happened, but it is, of course, free of children. So it's a very different experience than the family beach. What did you think of it?
I liked it. I thought it was really pretty. And I really liked, I can't remember the name of the bar there, but it has like that little built in deck with
Yeah.
Adirondack chairs. So we sat
Mhm.
there instead of sitting at the normal loungers. We rented floats. And then I really liked the barbecue there. I liked how the picnic tables were kind of all under the palm trees. I really liked the setting there. I liked the barbecue at Cookies 1 and Cookies 2, but the Serenity
Mhm.
Bay barbecue was really cool. I liked that a lot. And then we rode bikes from there. I
Yeah.
didn't realize before that they had their own bike rental station because I hadn't been there much. So I thought it was really fun. The beach being narrow didn't bother me. The water's beautiful. I liked the waves. That's a little bit different than the family beach. Um, and then we could see the new
Oh, yeah.
Mickey's Cove cabanas from there. So we got some really good video of
Oh.
them. They're really cute and colorful. I can't wait for them to open up.
Ooh. Will you perhaps have some video on your DCL 101 Instagram?
Mhm.
Yeah, we'll put that up. Yeah, soon. We haven't had a chance.
All right, I would love that. For those who don't know, Kelly and Charity have a great Instagram account. You should follow it if you're not already, DCL.101, where they give really short instructional videos about different like tips and tricks for Disney Cruise Line. They're great. And so I gotta give a little mid-show plug for your Instagram account. Love it. All right. So great barbecue at Serenity Bay, I guess is the verdict, and great time at Serenity Bay. I didn't remember they had a bike rental there as well as the other bike rental. I'll be totally honest, I did not remember that. It's been so long since I have spent any time at Serenity Bay myself. Yeah. Is that
Yeah, I had
new? Do
never
we know?
well, I had never utilized the bike rental from there. I knew they had the floats, but so I'm not sure if it's new or not, but it was
Yeah.
great because midday, even though it was hotter, that's where we grabbed the bikes. And so then we rode the bikes down. That picture in the top left corner is actually from the end of the trail past uh, I guess it's the adult cabanas. It was beautiful down at the end there. And then we went and took the bikes out by the lookout, went up at the top of the lookout, but it was really nice to be able to grab the bikes there. So even though we went all around the island, taking them to and from the Serenity Bay there was really nice because I don't know that we would have trekked
Mhm.
back to rent the
Yeah.
bikes
It was really
from the family
convenient.
beach. Yeah.
Yeah, fair point. Now, I've got a question in the chat from Ed. Did you feel rushed because this is only a 3-night cruise, right? We're already on day 3, your last full day talking about Castaway. Did you guys seem to have packed in a ton, and I know we've got another slide with just a bunch of different things you guys did across the cruise. But yeah, did you feel rushed because of the length of the cruise? And would you recommend for other people to, book a 3-night cruise?
I did feel a little bit rushed, and we are very experienced with Disney Cruise Line, so we didn't feel like we had to see everything, like we didn't go to any trivias. There's so many things we didn't do.
Right.
So I don't recommend 3-night cruises. I feel like the first night you run packing, then you have one night to relax, and the next night you're packing. So I think if you're not sure about cruising, I think 4 or 5 nights is a good first cruise. I do think that the 3-night does feel too rushed.
Yeah.
Um, for us, it's what we could make fit into our work schedules, but I
Well,
do
I mean, like
prefer
you
to
said,
go a
you can
little
be
longer.
yeah, you can be choosy about what you're gonna do. You're gonna skip the trivias and hang out at the Rose and have this beautiful tea service. I love that picture, it's great, and then, or sit and have your coffee in the Cove Cafe. You can choose the things you wanna do because you feel like, "Okay, I've done most of these other things. I don't have to do everything every cruise." What about you, Charity? Would you I mean, this was a great experience for the 2 of you to do a 3-night cruise, but would you, recommend others do a 3-night cruise as, like, a first cruise, or would you, like Kelly, say 4 or 5 nights? I'm kinda on the fence. I think for somebody who's got, like, motion sickness issues, I think 3 nights is a good start just to be if they're worried about motion sickness, especially than just
Yeah.
going to Nassau and, Castaway.
Yeah. I would say if you're really worried for some reason, then do a 3-night cruise. Other than that, I'd say I wouldn't recommend shorter than a 4-night cruise because not necessarily that you'll feel rushed, but I think you'll feel like you've missed out on things because there's just no way that you can get to activities on the ship that you might want to experience and everything else. I think you would go away feeling like you've missed out on things. Like Kelly said,
Yeah.
obviously this isn't our first, and so we were able to pick and choose. The only other time my family's done a 3-night cruise was over actual Christmas. So
Mm.
we got on the 23rd, we had Christmas Eve, we had Christmas Day on Castaway, and then we got off, and it was magical because it was a Christmas cruise. That was all we could manage to do that year on that break, but it was amazing. It was like the most magical 3 days, but again, it was really short. And so even for us, there were things that we probably would
Yeah.
have loved to
We
do.
never went to the rainforest. We didn't have
Yeah,
spa treatments.
nothing like that where
There's
if
a
we
lot
had
of stuff we
another
didn't
day or
do.
2, so I don't think I'd recommend, not that we felt rushed, but you have to choose what you're gonna do,
Yeah.
and there are
Yeah.
definitely things you're not going to get to do, so
Yeah. Well, and that's a really good point. If you do a spa treatment, that's going to take up a big chunk of time. If you want to spend time in the rainforest room, you are buying a, length of cruise pass, you're going to want to feel like you got your money's worth. And so you're going to want to go there multiple times. And if you want to go out on Castaway or if you want to do Palo Brunch, especially if you wanna sit and follow brunch for 3 hours in a blanket, you are gonna want you're gonna wanna balance it. I love this, you guys, I actually love that, so, and if you're and if you're gonna wanna try and make it to the Cabanas or sorry, Marceline Market for Mickey Churro waffles on Castaway Day, right? Like, there's some priorities you've got to make here, that are hard to do. I think a 3-night cruise can be a really relaxing cruise as long as you are not trying to accomplish everything. If you are trying to accomplish everything, I think that's even hard to do in a 7-night cruise. I always find that I have FOMO and that I feel like, "Oh, I wish I had done, X, Y, and Z." Like, I'd wanted to do all of these other things, and I even on a 7-night cruise, I don't get everything done that I want to. Well, we've got one more slide, I believe. Brian, if you will forward me to the next slide, which is you guys, I mean, if you're in Florida, you might as well, take a day and go to the parks,
This
right? Was this
it yeah, this is what made it not so sad that it was only a 3-night cruise.
Yeah. And it's the result of some like Disney math. Flying home, our trip was over on Labor Day and it was really expensive to fly home. So if we stayed one additional night, then the flights were less expensive. So it was really a cost savings to
Oh,
stay an additional night.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I
Um,
love the
so
Disney math.
we took the Disney transportation and stayed at the Riviera.
It was the only thing we could do.
Yeah, it was
because
responsible.
it was extended evening hours at Epcot if you stayed at a deluxe resort.
Oh, so you got to go so then yeah, so you got to stay extended hours at Epcot and then hit up Magic Kingdom also. That's pretty
Yeah.
nice,
See
you
how
guys.
we saved that money, Sam?
You
Yeah.
totally saved money, Charity. I'm convinced this is the kind of cost savings I've tried to convince Brian about, but he doesn't buy it, especially since we own, points at Riviera, and so it's basically free when we stay at Riviera, right?
Right? So you just need to go on a girls' trip with us.
I need to go on a girls' trip with Kelly and Charity. Brian, are you listening? I need to go on a girls' trip with Kelly and Charity on a 3-night cruise on the Disney Wish, and then we're gonna go to Walt Disney World for a couple of days. I wanna go to Animal Kingdom because I keep every time I'm going to WDW, I am skipping Animal Kingdom, I find, and I love Flight of Passage, and I need to get back to whatever it's called. I'm gonna call it Pandora, but I don't even now I'm
Yeah.
is that the right name? I don't even remember the
Avatar.
name.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's called Pandora.
Pandora, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Brian's saying my audio is cutting out for him. This is Brian's
Oh,
audio.
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
We and
Oh,
a
it's
nice thing
funny.
at Epcot without our kids is like we went to the World Showcase and we had margaritas at the La Cava de
Mexico.
Tequila.
I've never
Um,
done that, and
it's
I
really
thought
fun.
maybe this was all overrated and just a lot of talk and hype. It was not.
So good.
It
Yeah,
was
it
so good,
also
right?
strong.
Oh, yes, the margaritas are strong, and so you have to pace yourself, especially if you're walking around and you stop in Paris, I don't know, for let's
Yeah,
say a
there was
frosé
really
or
no
something.
drinking around the world because
We went and then we had dinner at Italy
oh,
at
so
Via
we did have
Napoli,
one
and we
more,
did
but
have a really good that lemon drink, the
yeah, the
limoncello,
limoncello,
some
but
limoncello drink.
Oh,
That
but
was
the
yeah.
good.
the margarita was about enough for us.
Yeah, and it was fun. So we approached Epcot a little differently than we do with our kiddos.
Yeah.
I love it, you guys. All right, lessons learned. We got to see. Are there things you would do differently if you could do it all over again? Is there anything? Is there something you missed or feel like you should have done more efficiently, especially on a 3-night cruise? I'll ask each of you this question. So I'll start Kelly with you. Anything if you could do over, you might do it differently.
The only thing I think I would have done was maybe knock it off in Nassau and just enjoy the ship a little bit more.
Hmm.
But otherwise, I think that we really packed in a lot in the little bit of time that we had. So I was really happy with how it turned out.
Yeah.
What about you, Charity?
Yeah, I actually that's a funny question. Would I have done something differently? Probably the only thing I could think of differently would be maybe add in a spa treatment of some sort. So maybe that would have been on that NASA
Yeah.
afternoon. So if we weren't like trying to do maybe some research or figure out something that families might want to do within walking distance, which I don't regret because I think that was nice, but just
Yeah.
a personal trip, I would have added in a spa afternoon instead, making it the
Yeah.
ultimate girls trip.
Yeah.
Yes, I
Well, no,
love
we'll
that.
do that
Yeah, next time.
again. Yeah.
Well, you guys, I've gotta give you a chance to tell people where they can find you and follow you on the socials, if they and where they can reach you if they wanna book a cruise with you. Kelly, why don't you start, because 'cause you've been on the show before, so hopefully people know where to find you, but why don't you tell them where they can find you?
So you can find both of us at DCL 101. So we have a Facebook page, Instagram, and TikTok. And our clients kept asking us a lot of the same questions over and over. So now we've made it like a series of little informational videos to try to help you plan the most magical Disney cruise, answering questions people ask us all the time. And we put some other stuff there too. It's not just us talking all the time. Um, and then we're both part of a travel agency called Platinum Mouse that specializes in food allergy. And we're both health professionals who work in that field. And you can reach me at kelly@platinummouse.com.
Yeah, and I'm Charity at platinummouse.com. And, we book for everyone, not just those with food allergies, but we do have a special niche in that area. So, and our agency is really good with food allergies and those with special needs as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks, you guys. For those watching, we are back next week with fan favorite Sean Connor. Sean is going to be back. He has sailed in the last like month or month and a half. He has sailed both on the Wonder in Alaska and on the Wish in the Bahamas. And so we're going to be contrasting these two crazy different cruises, both in terms of, old ship, new ship, cold weather, warm weather, short cruise, week-long cruise. So we're going to do a great compare contrast with Sean next week. So don't forget to join us live. We'll be at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, same place here on YouTube. He's on the Wish actually right now, as Linda is reminding me. So we will have him on next Monday. But thank you so much to Kelly and Charity for joining me on tonight's show. Thank you to all of you who are watching us live, and all of you who are watching us on the recording or listening to us on the podcast channels. Make sure to give us those 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and to like and subscribe on YouTube. And with that, I will say good night, and I will see you next week with my lovely co host, Brian. Thanks, you guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.